influence, but I tell you, man, there was no knowledge of self-teaching going on at all during that time. You know, I can't knock them because you only know what you know. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But there was no one to really teach me a knowledge of self.
Wow. Now, do you think that's because, you know, growing up in the South, some of our older family members, they're a little more directly connected with Jim Crow? Some of them even have a grandparent or a great grandparent that was actually a slave. Do you think, coming from that time where it was just so tough on us, it seems like either a black person was a revolutionary or they just stood away from the topic altogether?
Well, you know, I'm glad you said that. One thing about me, even though I was raised, you know, kind of a, you know, men and women, sometimes my upbringing didn't really teach you to be an alpha male. It taught you to bend a lot. You know, like I said, I'm not going to knock it because you only know what you know, but there was not a lot of alpha male teaching there, only to capitulate.
That's interesting.
And I can say that based on the religion and being taught that, you know, when you leave this place, you either go to college or go to the military. There's no entrepreneurship teaching at all. Just follow that particular plan that was given to you by your elders.
Definitely. Okay, interesting. Now, talk to me about when you started to write. Like, at what age did you realize writing was something that you wanted to get into?
About 15, but once again, I held back from it. I didn't think that, based on my environment, writing was not something that a guy did.
Interesting. Okay, that was more of a female thing. Okay.
Yeah, I would actually hide it, man. I had a teacher who would actually tell me to stick with it. You know, about, you know, sort of rebellious. You know, at that time, I wouldn't stick with it as far as with her looking at my journals with her. I kept journals from 15 through college. I kept journals, and I wouldn't let anyone read them. To this day, I still have them. But I hid them. I just hid them from everybody. But it was such a release for me, man, to put your thoughts on paper. You know, that's what led me to writing. I just had to get it out.
Definitely. Being a beginning writer myself, I completely understand what you're saying. And other people who write are always trying to get an idea of, you know, what motivates you to do so. Because just like you're saying, you know, when you were growing up, writing wasn't even seen as a masculine thing to do. Not even, and definitely not a career option. It's kind of been the same for me a little bit. I can definitely relate from that. Just writing, like I would, you know, my last job before they shut down and, you know, closed down and everything, I would do a lot of writing, and people would see me writing like on my break or lunch or something, and they'd look at me and they'd be like, "Hey, what you writing, raps?" You know what I'm saying? So they're gonna put that with whenever they see somebody black. Unfortunately, you writing a pen or using a pen this day and age, they're only gonna associate that with some form of entertainment. So I definitely had to deal with that small taboo in our community as well. Now, so you said you've been writing since you were 15. Was the first book Beyond Enemy Lines, Survival Tips for Black Men in the Workplace? Was the first book you wrote?
Actually, my first book was actually Mason-Dixon. Behind Enemy Lines was my last book. Mason-Dixon was my first book that I actually wrote. And I wrote that book actually when I got turned down for one of the many promotions. So, you know, I spent time like in the cube, you know, just writing. You know, that one thing about them, you know, I was actually a number. I was a black face, so I wasn't bothered that much as long as I was there to be seen. So I picked it back up and just started writing.
Interesting.
And of course, they would come by, you know, I would have some of my lectures by the minister on and wanted to write something like that. And they just thought I was either trying to listen to gospel preaching, or I was trying to, like you said, write some rap rhymes to pass time away.
Interesting. Wait, so you're saying the book Mason-Dixon, A View from an Office Cube, you were writing it in your office cube?
I actually wrote that book in an office cube.
Talking about being creative.
Yep, I sure did.
Okay. Now, so talk to me a little bit about, what prompted you to write that book?
Actually, just looking back over when I left North Carolina, I left my mother and a sister there, and I came here to Atlanta, just trying to leave the rural South. So I went further south, of course, but Atlanta's like the jewel of the South, you can say. Mm-hmm. So I came to Atlanta, and based on the stories I would tell, a lot of friends of mine that I met here, they would always tell me to put it on paper, right? So I'd left off at times, but then again, when I came into corporate after graduating college, not getting picked up for certain promotions, I just started to go back to writing journals. So I stuck with it.
Okay.
And the stories that I would give them, it would put certain people in awe. And when I came to the South, actually in Atlanta, it was more of a melting pot for me, because what I would do is I would actually take the MARTA train to 5 Points to Atlanta. I'm not sure if you've been to Atlanta or not, but I would go to 5 Points, right? Mm-hmm. And I would intentionally sit and just talk to people who didn't look like me. And get insights, on different cultures or whatever. So I spent a lot of my time downtown